Warcraft is a movie that came out this weekend, and is of course based on the insanely popular video game series World of Warcraft. It was directed by Duncan, who had previously done the movies Source Code and Moon. Both of those movies were pretty enjoyable, so that, combined with the fact that this is based on one of the most popular video games of all time, I was kind of excited to see what kind of magic he had conjured up for his third effort. The movie is based on the mythology of the Warcraft video games and lore. The orcs are living in their world, which is dying. There's nothing left for them. Their leader, an orc by the name of Gul'dan, who's like this all-powerful sorcerer-type guy, uses dark magic to open a portal to the human world of Azeroth. A few orcs are starting to feel rebellious and try to team up with the humans of Azeroth to go up against Gul'dan. One of them is a half-breed, kind of a half-orc, half-human person, and she is really the one that tries to join forces with the humans to try to put a stop to Gul'dan. I don't know, I did a horrible job explaining that plot, but hopefully you get the basic idea there. I'm not hugely familiar with Warcraft or the mythology behind the video games. I did try playing it once about 10 years ago or so, because some coworkers of mine at the time were really big into it, and I had wanted to see what the big deal was. Unfortunately, I never really got into it, only ended up playing it a handful of times, so I'm really only familiar with it on the most basic of levels. The environments and visuals in this movie were wonderful, for the most part. I say for the most part because there's one scene in particular, about halfway through, that just looked like a bad 1980s special effect. I'm not going to get into spoilers here. If you know me, I don't deal with spoilers in any of my reviews. So I will say that about halfway through there's a scene with lightning and electricity or something, and it just looked really bad. The motion capture and performance capture with some of the creatures was really well done. The design of the orcs and their performance was very realistic, especially on one of the main good orcs called Gul'dan, or whatever his name was. The level of detail was very impressive, and for me at least, I found myself connecting with the orcs more so than the human characters. And speaking of the human characters, I didn't really connect with them, their plight, what they were going through. They almost seemed like caricatures of what royalty and warriors and magicians should be, and so in that regard, they almost felt a little bit less real than their CGI orc counterparts. A few of the dwarf characters looked like they could have come straight out of Peter Jackson's Hobbit movies, and that isn't necessarily a compliment, since in my mind, the Hobbit movies were far inferior to The Lord of the Rings. The movie itself was decent. As a non-gamer and somebody who wasn't really familiar with the world though, I don't think they did a good job of world building and explaining what was going on at all times. Not that I'm asking for more exposition scenes, but there were times where I did feel a little bit lost. Maybe I would have enjoyed the film a little bit more if I had played the video games and immersed myself into the World of Warcraft for the past decade or more. It just didn't seem like there was enough backstory at times. Maybe as a result of my not being familiar with the world, a lot of the story elements seemed to be crammed in, like the film was trying to do too much all at once. The pacing also left a little bit to be desired. It seems as though characters were barely introduced, their motives barely hinted at, and then the film moves on. As someone who's only familiar with Warcraft at the most basic level, I did find myself confused at times. The action, though, was pretty solid, and the battles were entertaining. I did feel like I was watching someone play the game, and I guess that's a compliment and what the filmmakers were going for. The movie was touted with hopefully ushering in a new generation of video game movie adaptations. I'm not sure if it fully succeeded. I mean, yeah, it did look and feel like a video game, but I thought the story wasn't quite up to par, and I definitely do have mixed feelings about the film. In terms of video game movies, this one is much better than most, and it does indeed raise the bar. However, I think the responsibility now falls on Assassin's Creed later this year to really deliver that knockout, phenomenal video game movie that will be a blockbuster not only with fans, but also with critics and the general audience as a whole. My middle ground score here is a 3. I'll give the film a 3 if it at least captures my attention, keeps my attention, and if I don't check my watch more than once or twice. In other words, a movie needs to captivate me and pull me into the world and the story that they're trying to tell. This movie didn't quite do that. Although, to be fair, I was still a little bit tired this morning when I saw the movie, Still not feeling the greatest, a little bit under the weather, and so I'm not entirely sure if it was fully the fault of the movie or not that I did start to doze off a few times. I'm going to give Warcraft a 2.5 out of 5. I know it sounds like I kind of lambasted the movie, only giving it a 2.5 out of 5, but visually it is spectacular, and I guess it is a decent enough summer popcorn movie. Given the amount of money that this movie has already made overseas, a sequel is pretty likely, and I'll end up seeing it as soon as it comes out. Warcraft is a gorgeous piece of filmmaking that does perfectly capture the look and feel of the video game, and I'll be excited to return to the World of Warcraft if they manage to tell a more compelling story the next time around. The little epilogue certainly hints that there will be at least 1 or 2 more sequels. Have you seen Warcraft yet? If so, what did you think? I'm particularly interested in the opinions of people who have played the video games and are familiar with the story and the lore to see if this is a faithful and worthy adaptation or not. Sound off in the comment section below. You guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my videos. Also, you can bookmark the website, jeffitosmovieblog.com. Like me on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter. Links for all that stuff is down below in the description like always. And I'll be back soon with more reviews, including more Pixar movies, as we get ever closer to Finding Dory, which comes out this coming Friday. Until next time, I will see you at the movies. Bye-bye.